Welcome back, listeners, to another interesting episode on the AIBiz Podcast. I'm your host, Sana. And for this episode today, we are not here to cheerlead AI or to mourn the death of publishing. But we are here to look at what's actually happening on the ground in 2025. The wins, the carnage, and the very weird middle where people like today's guests are making more money than they ever did under the old system, while a lot of others are quietly drowning. So, listeners, let me introduce my guest to all of you. Todd Hagopian doesn't just write books, he buys distressed companies, turns them around, sells them, and also writes the playbooks afterward. He's done over, hear me out, $200 million in value creation, a lot of it while treating diagnosed bipolar disorder that used to swing him between 20-hour workdays and suicidal mornings. His newest book just hit the market using almost 100% AI in the creation to launch pipeline. Yep. So, Todd, welcome to AIBiz, and as always, it is such an honor to have you here.
Yep. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um. Okay, Todd. Let's first start with you know, with a kind of a brutal reality check here. Um, if you can walk us through the numbers, like in 2025, what does it actually cost, time and money to take a business book from idea to then a respectable Amazon bestseller, but using heavy AI versus the traditional route you and I, both know.
Yep. Yep. For sure. And let me clarify that the book itself wasn't written with AI,
Yeah.
but a lot of the content creation since then, and a lot of the taking the actual path of the author journey has been
Yep.
used through AI. So we'll talk through some of that. But as far as taking it to the market, there's certainly ways now where people can take and actually write a book with AI, and that's done fairly frequently. The problem is that it doesn't usually have the frameworks and the soul that you need to really sell a really good business book on the market, and a lot of publishers and customers won't take that on. So what can you use AI for, and how can you use it to accelerate the process, and what's that process look like in today's world? So first of all, it used to be real hard to find publishers. It used to be real hard to find that information, who to talk to, how to get in. AI has made it really simple to at least map your path, right? So do you want to self-publish? Do you want a hybrid publish? Do you want a traditional publish? If you want a traditional publish, like, who are the publishers or the literary agents I should be talking to? At what stage in the game should I be talking to them? So I've got this idea. It's this, what type of book should I write? What type of literary agent would represent me? Who do I go to? It cuts down months and months of, kind of the old process where you might get an idea and you write a book, and then you realize that's not exactly what people buy, or that's not what they represent. And you have to go back to the drawing board, and you have to, get turned down by 50 agents. And so that all changes now because there's so much information at your fingertips. So for example, I decided to self-publish my book. So I went out and found a good couple companies that help you self-publish, and I was able to do an extensive amount of research on how much that was going to cost, and how that was going to look, and what companies I should talk to, what are the advantages of self-publishing, and this and that. And so, self-publishing can be anywhere from $0 if you just do it on Amazon and throw it up there, um, to $20,000 if you go out and hire somebody who's going to edit your book and come up with a cover and help you learn how to do all the things along the way. And I started doing the expensive one, and realized that it was going to be a little more expensive than I thought. That's when AI really helped me, because I started looking at hybrid publishing, which is kind of this mid-step between self-publishing and true publishing. And what it allowed me to do is understand that there are companies out there that if you share the risk, they will take it the rest of the way. And I ended up working with Kohler Books, who had a deal where it was, they're fairly selective, but for, around $5,000, you could get your book published, and they would actually do it professionally. And they only take on people that they think are going to sell enough books that they can make money doing it this way, because most hybrid publishers are like $20,000. But all of that happened through using AI to find the right person, the right publisher who would be interested in this type of book, and who offered the services that I knew I needed, like cover art and like editing. Um, and so that all really did help me. I mean, if I had just gone to Google and hit the button, I probably would have spent $20,000 to $30,000 more, done multiple things over and over again, and had to take twice as long, because really the process. I think I finished my book around January, and I went about 4 months with the self-published route, and I probably could have published, around July or August, and then I flipped over and moved it back to January again. So it's about a 12-month path as it was. And if you do look at the old way, it used to be 2 to 3 years to get your book published. So it has certainly sped up the time to market, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is side of the coin that we kind of ignore to explore, or, tend to ignore, because whenever we kind of bring in AI into, especially in creativity and work around it, we always think that, okay, so that means you're using just AI to, give the output. It's bland, it's emotionless. There is no human element in there.
Right.
I think what you are saying is you leveraged AI and its searching power, like this, director giving you suggestions, giving you direction, giving you, the best possible options available out there at each and every stage of publishing, which resulted in reducing the time taken to actually get the book out there.
That's 100% right. I mean, I am about to hire a book launch manager right now, for example, and she goes for upwards of $100,000 if you kind of hire her at the beginning, write the book, launch the book with her, you know what I mean, and that kind of thing. And for example, I used AI for the last 6 months to kind of build the base. I've got the website built, I've got content built, I've got my podcast up and running. I'm doing guests on other podcasts. All this stuff came from typing in an enormous amount of stuff into AI and saying, this is my goal. This is what my book is. This is what I have and where I want to go with it. And what are the 100 steps that I should do? And then, there's other cool things with AI that I've kind of gotten into, where it's like, rate these steps on these 5 goals. Tell me 1 to 100, on how important they are and which goal they'll help me hit. And then I could slowly kind of knock things off the list by myself using AI to drive things forward, and, come up with the best way to land a bunch of podcasts, and the best way to write a bunch of content, the best type of content to get searches, checklists and glossaries and this kind of thing. And it basically guided me on how to build all that. And so by the time I got to this book launch manager, it was more like, you know what, we can probably do the $10,000 plan, because you've got everything built already. You're essentially 8 months into it, you know what I mean, without paying for it. Now, it took a lot of brute effort, tons of searching, asking AI to ask me a bunch of questions and rate a bunch of times, and how can I make it better, and this and that. And so kind of going that 14th and 15th level into an AI search, because a lot of people will be like, hey, how do I launch a book? And then AI delivers a generic response, and then they give up on it. You know what I mean? And they say, okay, AI is worthless. It didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. But if you get to that 14th and 15th level and you keep asking questions, I'm like, well, what would you rate this as importance in the launch? Okay. And then you show them the output, and then they say, well, that's an 82. Okay, well, how do I get it to a 95? What were the things I could do to this to make it a 95? And this and that. And you just keep taking it to the next level. And suddenly, if you go that deep, then suddenly professionals are looking at it going, oh, okay, this is a real launch and you're already 8 months in, you know what I mean, to what we would have been doing for 6 figures. And then you can save yourself a significant amount of time and money.
Absolutely makes sense. I really love that. I really love that. I mean, this actually, removes this kind of an uh, enmity or this, kind of a bad taste created around, AI, especially in creativity once again. Um, Todd, I mean, you have built a very specific personal brand around, uh, weaponizing bipolar disorder. And for listeners of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, let me tell you that we have had a very, very profound discussion on this. So the episode will be soon out on BizPlans. So stay tuned for that. But with that, Todd, I think it's hell of a hook as well. But um, how much of your current reach is authentic connection with readers, and how much is just a really good story that AI now helps you replicate across 50 pieces of content a day?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a great question. So, as far as the brand goes, AI actually helped me with that. So, what I did is I started talking on YouTube, and I started writing, and I started putting all this stuff into AI, and started asking it like, what kind of brand should I build here? You know what I mean? Like, I could just be the bipolar business guy. That would have been a fine brand, and people would have gotten that, and understood that there's something unique here and let's talk to this guy. But as I started writing, what I realized is there's a lot of different ways to tell this story, right? I can be super inspirational. I can lean more towards the mental health aspect of it, or I can lean more into like declaring war on stagnation, which is where I ended up, as you mentioned, weaponizing the hypomanic toolbox and really talking about this as a war on business stagnation. And the reason we went that route is as I put my stuff into AI, no matter how I tried to sound, no matter how I tried to come across, I always essentially came across angry at business stagnation, like just angry that people weren't taking it seriously and that people let their companies die and that people don't take a proactive approach to these really clear symptoms that hurt businesses and kill businesses in the long term. And AI helped me kind of crystallize that where it's like, listen, this is your brand. This is how you talk. This is how you write. You need to lean into it and you need something memorable that people are going to remember and that they're going to adhere to, and more importantly, like, do you really want to be talking about this book for the next 2 or 3 years in a way that is uncomfortable and is not your style? Do you want this whitewash consultant view? Or do you want this stagnation assassin anti-consultant manifesto type view, which, by the way, is probably going to be the title of the second book. And so that's how AI helped me with that. Now, from a content explosion standpoint, it's really, really valuable. And a lot of the book publishers now, the book managers, I should say, teach these strategies. But you can talk on a 10-minute podcast. Then you can use an AI tool to get your transcript. Then you can turn that transcript with AI into a blog post. And then you could put it into AI and you can say, now I want um, 10 different types of articles that you can blow out of this blog post and give me the 10 articles that would maximize SEO and AEO and this and that. And it might say, it might look at your transcript and say, okay, the 5 rules of, declaring war on stagnation, or the 3 biggest myths that you can bust in XYZ. And here's a checklist for boom, 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 and all these different types of articles that you never would have thought of writing. It's all with your content. You can even put in AI, like, no hallucinations, just use the actual words I said here and tell me what type of article to write. And it'll even pop out a draft and then you can just edit it hard. But the bottom line is now you can make a 10-minute video in 10 minutes. Doesn't even have to be a good video. Then spend 20 minutes with various AI tools and various AI prompts that you have already put together. And you can knock out 30 to 50 pieces of content in 30 minutes of work. and then you can schedule it all so that it just goes out onto several different platforms. And with AI, you can figure out which platforms you're allowed to post same content on and which ones you can't because of SEO and other impacts. And so I literally have a 5-hour work stream now that'll pop out 150 pieces of content a week.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, when it comes to scheduling, I think if you give the right kind of prompt and inputs, I think AI can actually help in building some brilliant content schedule. You can just in an optimized way. And now, if we talk even about SEO, I think now we are past SEO. We are talking about video as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and AEO is really interesting, and actually writing these prompts is, to your point, so important, and AI can help you do that. So I will have things like where I'll write an article, and then I've got prompts that'll say, "All right, take this article and optimize all the headings for AEO so that everything turns into a question," and then I'll even say things like, "Take the first paragraph after the heading and
Mm.
optimize it for AEO answers." So take my aggressive, angry, stagnation assassin tone out of that first paragraph and optimize it for an AEO answer and then return to my tone. Do you know what I mean? But make it look natural. And AI will actually take that article and optimize the headings and the first paragraph so that they will show up in more AEO, but then it'll slide back into the stagnation assassin tone for the rest of the article. And so you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting your true voice, but also you're getting just a few sentences here and there that are most likely to be grabbed in AEO searches. And then on top of that, you can, within the same article, optimize for SEO, and it'll drop in things like metadata and keywords. And then the best part about it is when you do put it on, like I've saved tens of thousands of dollars with my website, right? I've got hundreds of articles, which can cost tons of money. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do 100 articles in really well done AEO and SEO. And it'll give me long tail keywords to target, and it'll give me the metadata, and it'll give me the schemas that I have to put in, and I can do all of that without paying somebody six figures. So, I mean, AI has probably saved me. I'm probably doing a $250,000 book launch right now on a $25,000 budget, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. It's crazy, actually. It's crazy. I mean, something that which can really feel so much overwhelming, and that overwhelm and that kind of pressure, that stress, it can actually kind of act as a block for your creativity as well. So I think it brilliantly becomes an enhancer, like an enabler for your creative juices to flow.
Yep, that's 100% it. I mean, if you read 100 of my articles, they would all sound exactly like me. The nice part about AI is you can put in 100 pages of your own writing, and then say, I need a 700-word article on XYZ, and here's the topic, and here's hundreds and hundreds of pages of my writing. And it will take your own words, your own examples, and your own tone, and it'll write it for you. The difference is when people try to have it write 100 pages off of 2 pages of writing that they did, you know what I mean? That's where AI doesn't work, because then you get hallucination and you get them using other people's words and other people's tones and things like that. So the key to this whole thing has really been a ton of writing up front and being confident in your own frameworks and your own work, and then using that to make thousands of pieces of content that are smaller. So taking that 300 pages and turning it into thousands of pages of content, but bite-sized pieces of content that AI can then enhance and take to the next level and give you every bit of like all 20 types of articles that drive great searches. Suddenly you can write those all from your base content instead of having to go out and research and try and figure out what those 20 articles should be, if that makes sense.
Okay. And before we wrap up, Todd, I mean, this last one, no fluff, like 5 years from now, do you think the majority of working authors will be making more money than they are today? Or will AI just create a winner take all kind of, mayhem, where 0.1% of authors, hoover up 99% of the revenue, and the rest, fight for scraps?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, right? I think here's going to be how it plays out is the authors who use AI to do all their writing are not going to make very much money in the future. You know what I mean? Because everybody else is going to have authentic frameworks and good, great writing and this and that. The people who learn how to use their books to drive other revenue, speaking and consulting and courses um, and networking introductions to meet new customers and that kind of thing, those are going to be the people that really set themselves apart. And unfortunately, that probably will be the top 1%, but it won't be the top 1% in the way that most people are thinking about it, like the big authors with the big names and the big money. It'll be the top 1% of the people who know how to use AI, take their content and deliver a profitable roadmap from content to cash. You know what I mean? And that is going to be key. And even me, like I don't sell consulting, but I do sell speaking. I do sell books. I do want future networking that'll drive money in different ways. And if I can use AI to say, okay, I've got this book, I've got this plan, that's my launch plan over the next year. And as I build all of this, these are the other revenue streams or potential networking streams. Networking's extremely valuable, right? Networking streams that'll drive money into my pocket down the road. Those are going to be the people who really, really set themselves apart. So it might be the guy that only sells 1,200 books, but he makes 7 figures off of it instead of using AI to sell 10,000 books and never make a dime afterwards, if that seems right, you know.
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So Todd, before we wrap up, I think our listeners will be super duper interested in, kind of taking some of that magic that you use. Of course, it's not magic, it's, like a careful structuring through AI, of course. So if they would like to connect with you and get more wisdom from you, what would be the easiest way?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Twitter at Todd Hagopian. I have toddhagopian.com, which is a business transformation website, all about the book. But feel free to reach out to me there. Take a look at all those articles there and just look at them and see how natural they feel and what kinds of topics they cover. And really, that all came from one book. And then using AI to find new ways to present that information. So go on to there, contact me, ask me questions, and we can talk through it. If you have questions on content diamond strategy and how to blow out different pieces of content across networks or how to write those prompts, I'm always open to those questions.
Great, super. Listeners, what I'm going to do is have all the details in the show notes. So check out his new book, check out his hot system course as well, check out, uh, the sober curious thread he mentioned, and everything that will be in the show notes. And if today made you a bit uncomfortable, it's good, because discomfort is the only adult version of hope we have left. So Todd, thank you so much. This was such an amazing and really, really, I think, a brilliant way to look at, especially writing and publishing, of course, with the help of AI. Thank you.
Sure. No, thank you, Sana. I really appreciate you.
And to all the listeners, this is AIBiz. I'm Sana. I'll see you in the next episode, assuming the algorithms let us. Thank you so much.